Yeah, let's get it right.
Yeah.
Start as you mean to go on, I guess.
And
so,
did we dump the 3? Just 1, 2.
RNIB, conversations between.
I'm Abi Baker and I'm a totally blind musician. I play the piano and the violin and I also teach.
I'm Dave Connolly. I'm a music composer and I'm also the founder of Molecular Sound, which is a music and sound company.
Tell us about your sight condition.
I'm totally blind. Apart from that, I do have a tiny little bit of light perception. I went blind as a result of a cataract operation that went very badly wrong when I was a baby. So I have no recollection of being sighted.
Did you always want to be a musician?
I guess because I was blind, my parents were keen to find something for me that I could do. I remember when I was very small, we had a piano in the house, and so that was the logical instrument for me to get attracted to first. So I started to use the piano to create sound effects for stories I was inventing. A few years later, I also started to play the violin and the clarinet.
Music is just kind of something that is just there from such an early age that you almost kind of can't remember the first time you really interacted with music. Yeah. And so in a way, it's just so universal that that kind of it is just like a form of communicating.
How did you learn music?
Mum taught recorder, and so kind of I was almost forced into that. But I think it did help me to understand the fundamentals of the notation. And so guitar was kind of the next step, and then it was drums. And then actually piano was kind of the last instrument that I learned about 18.
I do learn stuff as well, either sometimes by braille music still, but usually by ear. From a very early age, from 2 years old, when they discovered I had perfect pitch, being able to know that this note is E, this note is G, is no different from a sighted person knowing that this colour is red, this colour is green. It's the same kind of idea, just the sound equivalent.
How has technology helped you with your music?
This is where YouTube comes into its own. I had a gig a few years back, it was a Christmas gig, and they wanted me to find a Welsh Christmas folk tune. Within 10 minutes of searching on YouTube, I'd found one, and I was able to learn it. In the past, I'd have had to go to a music shop and look through all these scores probably, and I wouldn't have been able to do it as a blind person. So the fact that there's things like YouTube around now is liberating because I can do it myself.
How can society support people with sight loss more?
I would just say again, and I've said it before, and I really can't stress this enough, do not be afraid to communicate and ask questions.
Having those conversations and receiving that feedback in order to help provide more opportunities.
That's very interesting because I feel exactly the same way. I think for us as visually impaired people as well, we mustn't be afraid to communicate either, because it can be very easy, and heck, I've done it, to assume this sighted person, they're never going to get this. They won't be prepared to make allowances for me. Well, if you don't ask, you don't know, do you?
What advice would you give to a young musician with sight loss?
Dare to dream and do what you want. You're going to have people who are telling you, oh, you can't do this, you'll never do that. If you believe you can and you love it enough, there will be a way. You may have to be prepared to think outside the box, big time. Don't limit yourself in terms of what you do.
It can be done.
Yes.
And I think that kind of, having that self-belief is important. The people that seem to rise to the top, like Abi, are people that have resilience and that have that belief and that kind of desire to prove people wrong.
RNIB, see differently.